everyone. Welcome to Hermosa Beach, and thank you for coming. The turnout is just incredible. I'm just so thrilled what is about to happen here today. We're here to celebrate the ceremonial unveiling of this exciting and long-awaited Surf Legends Memorial. As the mayor of Hermosa Beach, I'm so honored to be here today. This statue has been a dream of so many people for nearly a decade. And I could not be more proud to be here today to celebrate the hard work and dedication of so many that helped make this memorial a reality. Before we hear from the various individuals involved in this project, I want to take a few moments to provide a brief history and recognize those who have worked behind the scenes and so many others who supported this project in one way or another. It all started in 2003 when Public Works Director Rick Morgan, who I believe is here today, and Public Works Commissioner Gene Lombardo launched the statue concept and brought it to fellow commissioners Dan Marinelli, Rob Bestie, Victor Winnick, and Michael DiVirgilio to build early support. After that, there were countless individuals involved that kept this going. So it started with them, but this would not have been possible with all the other commissioners who came through over all the number of years, and there's so many people it's hard to mention all of the names, but everybody played a role in this. Peter Tucker and Michael DiVirgilio both played instrumental roles along the way. Peter served on the Art Commission for this project and invested countless hours. Is that true? Countless hours. Countless hours in the planning and coordinating for the memorial. As the project struggled in the final stages, it was Michael who worked with the Melchione family to ensure that the project was completed and that it honored Joe's true vision. The art committee played an integral role in creating a design that evokes the spirit and excitement, capturing a moment in time that will live forever. Members of the art committee included, again, Pete Tucker, you're everywhere, Pete, Bennett Tolsky, Rick Koenig, Dorothy Forba-Hartley, Jeff Duclos, and Phil Roberts. You know, what's so incredible about being such a small town is that you know everybody, and so many people in this town were involved in this. It would not have been possible had all of these people not been involved and contributed in some way. We're so fortunate to have former Public Works Director Rick Morgan here to celebrate with us. Thank you for all that you did to keep this dream alive and for returning here today to help us celebrate. Also, without the fundraising efforts, I see some Leadership Hermosa people here. Without the fundraising efforts put forth by Leadership Hermosa, class of 2008, this memorial would not have been possible. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication that your organization continues to do for our city. I would like to introduce a representative of Leadership Hermosa, class of 2008, Dorothy Forba-Hartley. Dorothy was the 4th president of this organization and was instrumental in the creation of the Arts Committee, which has helped keep this project alive. $50,000 was raised by the class of 2008 for this project. So please help me welcome Dorothy Hartley.
Thank you so much, Mayor Petty, for that lovely introduction. And yes, we could thank so many more people here all day long for their help, their time, and their funds to come together with us. On my drive over here today, I thought about what I was going to talk about. Leadership understands I live on 30th Street. But what kept coming to mind is, here we are. I literally have to say that a decade of my life has passed before me, and I am so proud that today, here we are. And in that decade, sometimes people carry things.
And a red cap.
As you can see, since 2008, I've been carrying this piece of the fountain with me. Originally, Rick Morgan, where are you? I didn't see you yet. Hello, love. Rick Morgan came to the Leadership Hermosa Beach class of 2007/2008 just to talk about what public works in our community means. So we were all ready to learn about streets and sewers and all that kind of great stuff. However, he also came to us with an idea for a project that he had started with others, as we heard, that needed a boost. And guess what? 13 people took up that challenge. So with Rick Morgan's vision and our amazing amount of hours that we put into this, in June of 2008, we had an event. This was the bag that we gave out at that event. Back then, we were calling it the Surf Legends Memorial Gateway Fountain because we knew that this was going to be a gateway to amazing things for this community. I have to thank one donor that helped us that day in particular, and that is the Hunt family. Janine is here, Steve is not. Janine, where are you? Okay, she was here. And then I have to thank the 13 members of the class, because without them, I would not have then been encouraged to start what we finish until we end it and start the Art Council. So those 13 members are Ken Bergeron, Steve Charney, Melinda Curtis, who's here, Patty Ellis, who should be here, Sandra Essex, right front row, thank you Sandra, Ken Hartley, he's here, I know, he drove me, Scott Colo, Marsha Majak, who is here, longtime Hermosa resident, and the two people who I left to last were not able to be here, who are Gwen and Ryan McCormick. Ryan McCormick was actually the lead on this project at first, and then he decided that June of that year we would be done. And so instead I said, nope, I'm going to take the lead because we are going to finish this, even though at that time the amount was $400,000. So quickly, we petitioned the city to allow us to have a task force. And that is where the true love of this came in. And it was because of Joe Melchione, who, if you ever go to a meeting and you think, oh goodness. Although I formed that art council by petitioning the city for what we called a task force, the meetings were long, they were every month, they were 3 hours each. And if you think about meetings that you don't really like to go to, but you know that there's that one person who's always going to be the bright spot of that meeting and keep you going, it is my absolute friend, Joe Melchione. Yeah, thank you. So with that, I would like to pass on this to the next person who will talk about this gem that we are giving to our community today, which is Carol Kwan.
Thank you, Mayor. Wow, did you guys call for this beautiful day? Look at this. Look at this, right? Isn't it great to live in this great city, the South Bay, all the ocean? And that's why we have to protect it, right? And now we're so happy that we are involved with the Surfrider to do Mr. Dewey rappers statues, around here. But thank you for having us, and we are very, very happy to be part of this, to get involved with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. She even wears a shirt. All right. Yeah, show everybody. Okay. Our next speaker is Craig Cadwallader, Chapter Chair from the Surfrider Foundation. The Surfrider Foundation partnered with the West Basin Municipal Water District on a state grant to promote ocean-friendly gardens, which beautifully surrounds our memorial. If everybody took a look at this, it's so well done. It's really incredible. Craig Cadwallader is chair of Surfrider's South Bay chapter and a graduate of the 2005 class of Leadership Hermosa, and first got involved in the early stages of this project in 2004, 10 years ago. This is Surfrider's second garden in Hermosa Beach, with the first one just behind you, serving as an entrance into the community center back there. So please welcome Craig Cadwallader.
Aloha. Surfrider Foundation is a grassroots environmental organization dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of ocean waves and beaches through a powerful activist network. What I really like about that mission statement is protection and enjoyment. We don't want to just protect it and not use it, but we want to enjoy it. And today is a good example of two of those elements. This project is near and dear to my heart. I began working with Rick Morgan back in 2004 when this was struggling to keep its head in the public awareness and was struggling to get funding. I would like to give a special thanks to my friend Susan Nobleza, better known as Cruz, the founder of AlohaCruise.com, who held a number of annual events, cruise island beach events, and raised several $1,000s for this event, for this fountain in the early days when everybody was struggling just to try to get some funding started on this. As we know, leadership Hermosa came through again later on and kept this going. That's wonderful. That's what leadership is all about. And what does a garden have to do with the ocean? Urban runoff is the #1 source of ocean pollution. As a result, 6 years ago, Surfrider Foundation formed the Ocean Friendly Gardens program to prevent polluted runoff and achieve other benefits. Ocean Friendly Gardens applies CPR, conservation, permeability, and retention, to revive our waterways and oceans from choking on pollution and dehydrated soil and groundwater that's completely covered by hard surfaces, especially a problem here in Los Angeles where about 90% of the soil is paved over. The goal is to emulate a natural watershed. We have teamed up with the West Basin Water District on State Proposition 50 grant that funds teaching classes, hands-on workshops, and building demonstration gardens. And I'm so proud in Hermosa Beach we have 2 of them, one behind you here as was mentioned, and surrounding the memorial here. This garden is the one around the memorial is number 11, and we have installed ocean-friendly gardens all the way from Malibu to Palos Verdes, and we have 4 more gardens to go on the initial grant. I'd like to give a special thanks to Beth Cross, who has dedicated over 20 years to the Surfrider Foundation and is our outgoing Ocean-Friendly Gardens coordinator. And we have huge thanks to her for dedicating her time to make both these gardens happen, and also to Paul Herzog, who's Surfrider Foundation's National Ocean Friendly Gardens Coordinator. The Surf Legends Memorial uniquely demonstrates Surfrider's mission. The surrounding ocean-friendly garden shows the protection element of our mission, and this statue of Dewey Weber shows the enjoyment of our ocean waves and beaches. Those 2 are very near and dear to us and very important. So what can a person do to help? Well, there are many things. One, I might recommend you join the Surfrider Foundation or volunteer your efforts to work with the South Bay chapter on our various events and initiatives. Please stop by our tent to find out more, and thank you again. This is a very special day for me personally. I know Rick Morgan is the guy who kept this going when it looked like it was going to die, and I'm so grateful to Rick, and I can't thank him enough for his tenacity to keep this going. So thank you all, and enjoy the event, and do an ocean-friendly garden at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. You know, when I use the phrase countless hours, I think of Craig, because at every event I go to, I see Craig. And Craig doesn't just show up, he's there till the very end. Sometimes he's the only person left, and he's still there. Thank you for all you do for our community, Craig. We will now hear from a representative from Cal Water, who has provided high-quality water utility services in the Hermosa Beach Redondo area since 1927. Susan Cordone is Cal Water's lead conservation coordinator for their Southern California location.
Thank you so much, Mayor and council members. I feel thrilled to be part of such an incredible community. I am a local girl as well, and I know we've all gathered here today based on the fact that we want to honor our surfing community. we're also showing respect for our earth in the form of the conservation garden that we've already talked about. I specifically focus my efforts in my job and helping people, as Mayor Petty mentioned, conserve water. This is only one of the ways that we can do it. This serves as a demonstration to everybody that you too can do something like this in your home. It's an understatement that surfers love water, right? Yeah. We love water, and I say we, I'm a body surfer, not a regular surfer. So, but at Cal Water, we have been serving water here in the community since 1927. We go back a long ways. We've got history to show that we have gone through cycles for hundreds of years of drought. This particular El Nino that's coming up will not get us out of that drought. So what I want to say today briefly is just to encourage this community and the others that we serve to continue to save water, do everything that you possibly can, look at every opportunity to save our Earth's natural resource. This is vital for all of us, young and old alike. Surfers love the water, we do too. So use water wisely, it is essential. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. I would now like to introduce Mr. John Joseph, a surfing legend in the South Bay. A friend of Dewey Weber since 11 years old, John surfed with Dewey on competitive surf teams, and they were lifelong friends. Along with many other contributions and accolades, John was inducted into the City of Hermosa Beach's Surfer Walk of Fame in 2004, where he has cemented his contribution to the surfing world here in our city. Please welcome John.
Thank you, Mayor Petty. Wow, what a gathering here for Dewey. It's amazing. Seeing so many old friends, and if you look around, you'll see these guys in the red shirts, the red jackets. They represent surfing history in California from the 50s through today. It's just amazing. And you're seeing some of the top surfers ever to come out of this state here today. I'm just so thrilled and honored to be here. I'm only going to take a few minutes to introduce a few people that put in a big effort in making the statue possible. The statue depicts Dewey, who was a famous surfer here in the South Bay that we all know. But the design basically is based on a black and white photo at 22nd Street taken by LeRoy Grannis 40 years ago. And we're expected to hear a few right now. Dewey may have been the face of Dewey Weber surfboards, but the heart and soul and the person that really made it run is Carol Weber, and I am so pleased to introduce her today. She's just done a wonderful job. And Carolyn was so influential in so many of our lives here. We owe her such a great debt of gratitude. Carolyn Weber, please come forward.
I don't know where to begin. I'd like to start with asking my family to join me up here. My son Shay. My daughter-in-law Anne. My grandson Tristan. My grandson Tanner. Unfortunately, the rest of our family lives in Italy, and they weren't able to make it over, but I want to recognize my daughter Stacy, her husband John, my grandson David and Riley, my granddaughter Juliana, and my granddaughter Kate. This is an incredible day in Hermosa Beach. And really, the feelings of the family is it's a day of gratitude. It'd be nice if you could hear me. That's what happens when you get old. A day of gratitude, because that's what we feel. We're grateful to Rick Morgan and the Public Works Department that initiated this project to begin with and put their heart and soul in it. We're so proud of the work that the city's done here. And without LeRoy Grannis, our hometown boy, who took that iconic photograph, no one would be here today. And LeRoy was such a special person. I met LeRoy in Hermosa Beach when I was just a young bride. Sometimes in the morning, LeRoy and I would be the only people on the beach at 22nd Street. I'd be watching Dewey surf and LeRoy to be taking pictures. At that time, we lived right on Hermosa Avenue at 22nd Street. So we spent a lot of time right there. And I remember LeRoy befriending this poor little lost girl on the beach and always being so kind to me and sort of watching over me. And at that time, he and Katie, his family just lived up the street from us. So over the years, we stayed in touch. And 30 years later, we both ended up in North County, San Diego. And I would go and visit LeRoy and Katie as often as I could. And the thing that amazed me most was here was a man who started out taking pictures when he got off work from the phone company. And he'd come by with a proof sheet the next day, and you could pick out a picture and he'd print you an 8x10 for $3. And over the 30 years, he gained great acclaim as a photographer and did work outside of surfing. And when we came together again 30 years later, what I was impressed with most is he hadn't changed at all. He was still that gentle, kind soul. And I was so blessed to have known him all of those years. So the picture was iconic. We had no idea when it was taken that it would be. We didn't know it would define a whole era of surfing, and we didn't know that it would end up being interpreted by such a wonderful artist into a lasting piece of art. So thank you, LeRoy. Thank you for being my friend all those years. Thank you for John, and thank you for Frank. I wish he was here today because Frank worked for us and was a good photographer in his own right. So I also want to thank Joe. Oh my gosh, without Joe, none of this would have happened. And Joe, to me, Joe was just a nice guy. He was a surfer. He traveled all over the world. He was just a great guy. I had no idea that he would end up being our benefactor. And without Joe, this just wouldn't have happened. So thank you to his sisters who are here today and to other members of his staff and his friends, because we really owe a huge debt of gratitude to Joe. And then we move on to Dewey. You know, over the years, Dewey's received so many honors and so much recognition, but I know that this is the one that would have been closest to his heart, to have his own town recognize him and make him the representative of all the legendary surfers that have come out of the South Bay. Because let me tell you, Dewey always said, if you can surf the surf in the South Bay, you can surf anywhere in the world. And you know, we always were Surf City. We are the real Surf City. Pardon me, but HB does not stand for Huntington Beach. So we love this town. We spent our years here raising our kids. We had a business here. We paid taxes here. We loved being here. And I want to thank all of you wonderful old friends, team members, former employees, new acquaintances that came out today to honor Dewey and honor the surf legends of Hermosa Beach, because we're still producing them. We haven't stopped, okay? I kept up with that contest you had a couple of weeks ago. So we want to thank everyone involved, and I want a special thanks to go out to our former team members who showed up today. Brings back wonderful, wonderful memories of all the years that Dewey invested in all of you, because he loved you. That was what he was all about. He was a team sport guy, and that's why he formed a team, and that's why the team's always been in existence. But I know that this would have been his very favorite honor. This is his heartfelt honor to have his own town honor him in this manner, in something that's going to last forever. So thank you, the City of Hermosa Beach. Thank you, Rick Morgan. Thank you, everyone involved with this project. We can't show our appreciation enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. The next speaker I'm bringing up is someone that we all wish we could have had his life growing up. He got to travel to all the greatest surf locations in the world. While his father was out shooting, he got to surf with the best surfers in the world. A great surfer in his own right from the age of 4, and a former Weber team member, John Grannis.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Thank you for coming today. This is huge. We've been waiting for this moment for so long. I've been told we've been working on this for 12 years. It seems like it's only been 10. What an honor this is for the Grannis and Weber families, and also for the whole community, because this is going to bring a lot of people into the town just to check this statue out. Phil asked me about 10 years ago when I first met him if I could find some more photographs of Dewey that my father took so that he could make the statue more complete. So I got him a whole stack for him, and that's why, as far as the Dewey Weber cutback, that was only the front view. So if you check the whole thing going all the way around, he got every muscle exactly in place, just like Dewey surfed. Okay. On behalf of the Grannis family, I want to thank the City of Hermosa Beach and everyone that was involved with this project. And like someone said earlier, there was a lot of people and a lot of time, especially Rick Morgan, who got the ball rolling. Of course, Phil Roberts for his incredible artwork. And where is Phil? And especially Joe Marchione. I know there was other donors, but this would not be happening if it wasn't for Joe and his family being so generous with their donations. My daughter Alana is here, and my grandson Reef, who will be forced to be a surfer. She's right there. Sorry about that, just like I was. All right, I have to do my notes, but it's really hard to look at. It's really hard to look at all my friends staring at me. Okay, I'm going to speak about my father. My father, LeRoy Grannis, Granny Grannis was his nickname, was born on a kitchen table in a beach cottage at 8th Street in Monterey in 1917. He started surfing in 1931 at age 14, and he surfed for 70 years. Now, have any of you seen an 84-year-old surfer in the water lately? Yeah. 84 years old? Okay, anyways, he started taking surfing photographs in 1959, and he did into his late 80s as far as photographs. Let's see, I think the most influential photos he took are from the 60s. That was considered surfing's golden age. He took thousands of photos all up and down the California coast into Baja California. We also went to Hawaii every year for the month of December. He founded International Surf Magazine in 1964. He also started, my handwriting is really bad. He also started taking shots from the water. At first, he used a box that George Greeno made for him. I'm sure a lot of you know who that. Is. That box is in the museum too. You can check it out today if you want to. Okay, so he would paddle out in the channel in the huge Sunset Beach in Hawaii, Waimea Bay, and sit in the channel, take a bunch of photos, seal up his box, and paddle for his life to get over the giant sets. Twice he got closed out at Waimea Bay. That means 30 to 35-foot waves closed out the whole bay at Waimea. So he whipped his board around, held on, and he got, pushed up the berm. I don't know how many of you know Waimea, but the berm's really high. So the whitewater pushed him up, and he slammed down on the beach, and he made it both times without losing his box, or his camera, or his life. He was also one of the first to put swim fins on and go surf, take his Nikon camera, and take pictures of pipeline. There was only one other surfer that got closer to the tube than my dad. That was Bud Brown, the old movie photographer. And one time my dad and Bud were out, and there was only a few surfers out, and the waves were about 8 to 10 feet. And my dad saw the set coming, and Bud was filming, and Bud didn't see it. This wave slammed Bud. His camera smashed into his head. He got knocked out, and he was so skinny he wore a beaver tail wetsuit when he was surfing in the water. He floated up with his wetsuit, and my dad grabbed him and pulled him out of the water. And there was nobody on the beach. It was just me, and like maybe a few people, but he saved his life. So anyways, out of the tens of thousands of photographs my father took over his career, the Dewey Weber cutback was his favorite photograph. And I know that because I asked him one day, I go, hey Dad, do you have a favorite photograph? He goes, yeah, the Dewey Weber cutback. And that's honest. That's pretty heavy. I mean, out of all those photographs. Okay. All right, and now for Dewey. He was so full of energy, just being around him got you stoked. Either when he was behind the counter talking surf stories or when he was out in the water. Whenever he surfed, everyone watched. Besides the fact he had bright blonde hair and wore red trunks, you know, he made the most beautiful, he made the most beautiful surfboards also. The colored stripes and pin lines were just perfect. Okay, so Dewey surfed like no one else. He did maneuvers that were so tight. Remember when he'd cut back and he'd do the hardest bottom turns and he'd run up to their nose and he'd run back. That's why they call him the original hot dogger and they call him the little man on wheels, because nobody could surf as fast as him. Or, I mean, I've seen some footage of him lately, and of course I grew up surfing with him, and nobody could do what he did. You know, people tried, but they didn't. I mean, I'm talking about from 2-foot slop out front here to 12-foot sunset. He just tore the waves apart. If it's always, you know, also if you just blinked for a second when he was riding the wave, you missed something. He probably did 2 maneuvers, and that time you blinked your eyes. So, anyways, I was fortunate to be on our surf team and surf with him hundreds of times all over California and Hawaii. I just wish that, you know, a lot of people were here today, but I just want to have a moment of silence, please, to remember Dewey and Corey Weber, my father, LeRoy Grannis, my mama, Katie, my brother, Frank, who, like Caroline said, worked for the Webers for years, Joe Mercioni, who made this possible, Harold Iggy, who shaped thousands of surfboards for Weber surfboards, thousands and thousands, and also recently Mike Tabelane, the East Coast Surfing Champion, passed away a couple of months ago, and he was one of Dewey's favorite team riders. So, I did that pretty quick, didn't I? Anyhow, so how about any team riders here today, past or present? You want to raise your hands? JJ? There you go. Okay. I hope everybody can hear you. There we go. Okay, that's about it. Yeah, all right. See ya.
Thank you, John Grannis.
The next individual that I'll be bringing up needs no introduction. In my almost 60 years of surfing, I never thought I would see anyone accumulate more covers or more magazine photos, either Dewey Weber or Mike Purpose over here. Anyway, the individual is a current big wave pro tour rider, one of the best ever from the South Bay, whether it's 20-foot jump or 30-foot toe in. Alex Gray.
What an honor to represent the generation of legends sitting in this crowd right now. Surfing has a very unique way of consuming your life, and it's every surfer's dream to make a living out of it. Dewey Weber created that dream. He took his surfing fame, made it into a surfboard company, made those out of a surf shop, which had a team represent him. It's so cool to see all you guys in your jackets today. And that business formula that he created is what is still used by our thriving local and worldwide surf shops today. Standing here, what becomes more apparent than anything is how important Dewey Weber always will be, because it takes a very special individual to continue inspiring without physically still being with us. And you'd have to think how stoked Dewey is to have his iconic turn as a statue in the heart of a city that he and his friends created surf history. So what a deserving and beautiful honor, and I'm just stoked to be a part of this. Congratulations.
I would now like to introduce the concept designer and sculptor for this beautiful memorial behind us, Mr. Phil Roberts. Phil is a recent inductee to the 2016 class of the East Coast Surfing Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Phil Roberts.
Oh God, I'm so stoked for all of you out here. This turnout is unbelievable. The love and the warmth, from seeing the entire surfing community and family here is it's just overwhelming, And can't tell you what it means to us. And yes, like everybody's mentioned, it's taken an entire tribe, a large family to put this project together. I can just run through some thank yous very quickly. I know you're burning up in the sun. Rick Morgan, thank you very much for your inspiration. And thank you to LeRoy Grannis for his inspiration, his photograph. If it wasn't for his photography and capturing the history of the surfing in Hermosa Beach and the legends that this town was, and is going to be, with LeRoy and the legacy he left behind for us, it's just invaluable. And for an artist, for what he shot, how innovative he was, it's a huge inspiration for me. I couldn't do anything without LeRoy. So thank you, John, for being here. But the enormous support that I've had from the surf community of Hermosa Beach and all the residents here for this project for over the last 10 years, it's always been positive. You guys have always been a part of it. The enormous amount of passion that everybody has for this project has just been overwhelming. So, this statue, this sculpture, this memorial is, as Joe Malchione really wanted, he wanted it to be about the Joe surfer. He wanted it to be about every surfer that came out of Hermosa Beach in the South Bay. And this is yours. It was all of your contributions, it was all of your support, I really hope that everybody here takes ownership in this project and takes ownership of this statue and as you've already embraced it. And, I can't tell you, I really want you to be proud and own it, and it's yours, And then, last but not least, Joe Malchione and his tremendous support, and he was a patron saint and an angel, and he was a true gem and a wonderful man to work with. And this is for you, Joe. Thank you, everybody, for turning out. The attendance is overwhelming, and so stoked to see all the legends here and the entire family and just all the famous guys that are here. And it's an honor for me. So I hope you all love it, enjoy it, and thank you for being here.
On behalf of the City of Hermosa Beach, I would like to take this time to acknowledge those friends that are here today in the spirit of this project, and Joseph Malchione, a lifelong Southern California resident whose major funding helped make this memorial a reality. The Malchione family has asked two of Joseph's closest friends and colleagues to present a speech and tribute, both written by Joseph prior to his passing in April 2012. Please help me welcome our first speaker, Mr. Robert Bob Fenner, who will be reading the speech written by Joseph. Bob was his trusted friend, and we are honored to have him here today.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I consider Joe my best friend for over 30 years. And those of you who are here today who knew him, and my sense is there are a lot of you, you'll know that there was never a dull or an uninteresting moment in the time that Joe and I spent together. We often worked together, we traveled together a lot. He taught my children how to surf. He attempted to teach me how to surf. Might have been the one project that he undertook in his adult life, in which he was not a complete success. But the thing about Joe to me was he had this incredible combination I've never known it in anyone else of curiosity and skill and confidence and determination to get things done. Joe was a true force of nature, and so I think it's fitting that he's going to be remembered for his support for this beautiful Surf Legends Memorial right here by your beautiful force of nature, the Pacific Ocean. I think about Joe every day. I know it's sad for all of us who knew him that he can't be here today, but I know he wants us to remember him in a positive and happy way and treat this as the joyous occasion that it is. I'm honored and privileged that his family asked me to read the speech that Joe wrote and had hoped to deliver. But sadly, as we know, he passed away before the project was completed. But here's what Joe wrote. Some of the happiest days of my youth were spent riding on the back of a Dewey Weber surfboard just down the road at 22nd Street here in Hermosa Beach. It was the epicenter of surfing's rebirth from the ancient Hawaiian sport of kings. It gives us all great pleasure to finally see this day and dedicate this statue to the memory of Dewey Weber and LeRoy Grannis. Both Dewey and LeRoy are pivotal figures in the explosion of modern longboard surfing in the early 1960s. I am extremely gratified that so many in the surfing community have played a role in ensuring that these two legends are always remembered and their contribution to our sport is commemorated. Both are elders of our tribe, and it is fitting that we respect and revere them. But this statue, and legacy are about so much more. All of those who surfed in the 1960s transformed the sport into a way of life that helped to define the California lifestyle. The carefree attitudes, the music, the surfer stomp. Now, I didn't know what that was, but my wife Diane, who's here, knew, and it's a dance. And she demonstrated it to me this morning, and she can show you, all of you, after the ceremony. So, the carefree attitudes, the music, the surfer stomp, the clothing, or lack thereof, were exported all over the world and are still alive today and well, and define what it means to be a Californian, whether you surf or wish you could. Modern longboard surfing gave rise to skateboarding and shortboarding, both of which Dewey Weber played a pivotal part in launching, which led to snowboarding and a proliferation of other extreme sports, many of which are now popular sports worldwide. The entire world has been set ablaze by the tiny spark the early generations of modern longboarders ignited. This memorial was inspired, created, and funded by surfers. LeRoy Grannis, whose iconic photograph of Dewey is the model for the incredible sculpture that Phil Roberts created. Rick Morgan, Hermosa Beach city planner from the early days of this plan, who lovingly but relentlessly pursued its progress while involved. The donations of the friends of Dewey Weber, who gave what they could because the commemoration of these icons is equally important to them. We also want to add here a special thank you to Vince DeMasi, the recent consultant project manager, and to the city of Hermosa Beach and all the city officials for bringing the project to conclusion. Joe went on to write, many of us who surfed here during the sport's stately longboard era knew that it was a time when surf shops abounded here at Hermosa Beach. It is here that you can always enjoy an endless summer. So enjoy this look back to a simpler time, but also realize the wave of change that has engulfed the entire world and not just the small group of surfing pioneers who spawned it. So thanks to all of you for being here today. I just want to add my own special word of thanks to Joe. Say, Joe, we love you and we miss you. Thank you.
To an era written by Joseph Melchioni. He was first and foremost Joseph's closest friend and was his longtime partner in the Glendale law firm of Sitskill, Weezy, and Melchioni. Please help me welcome Mr. Willie Madler.
On behalf of all the anonymous Surfer Joes, I am proud to be a major sponsor of this wonderful monument recalling the great surf history of Hermosa Beach. It is here that you can still truly enjoy an endless summer.
West is where the sun goes to sleep. Heiamoi Keila means the sun is going to sleep. Okay, this is from the Outrigger Club, Lanakila Outrigger Club, and we came here at the last second to represent the watermen of our towns.
As a special surprise, we will also be unveiling a Greg Knoll, thank you, surfboard bench, which is a replica of the famous 1964 Waimea and Pipeline gun surfboard written by Greg on the North Shore of Oahu in the late 1960s. Greg's bright yellow gunboard was made famous by the legendary photograph taken by Surfer magazine creator John Severson. This is a replica of the board that Greg got the biggest wave of the day on and placed third at the Duke K Invitational Contest in 1967. Greg is one in the group of legendary surfers that made Hermosa Beach surf community of the 1960s so famous. The shaped replica board to make the molds for this bench was handmade and provided by Greg's son, Jed Knoll, who is with us here today and will be unveiling the bench. We are proud to have this statue in Hermosa Beach, and it stands to represent the rich surf history of the city and will become a fixture in our town for many years to come.